welcome to the 24th episode of the Yarn Junkie Podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about my obsession with yarn. I am a knitter, spinner, all-around crafty type of person. My name is Amber, and if this is your first time joining me, welcome, and thanks for checking out my podcast. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Hi guys. I don't have a lot of time today, as usual. I feel like I've said that a lot lately, that I feel that I don't have time to sit down, and then here I am, sitting down to chat with you a little bit about what I've been working on and what I've been up to. So I'll get started. First, I'll point out my mug from the awesome Melissa of the Spicy Homemaker Podcast. I used it last week too, and then didn't thank her while I was using it. I have watched a lot of people of late mention whether or not darning socks is worth the effort, and how a lot of people just toss their knit socks once they have holes in the trash. And I thought that was just so sad. And as I've mentioned before, I have concrete floors, and I've worn my socks so much that I created a hole on this one. And you can kind of see my darning skills are not perfect, but this was my second pair of socks that I ever knit. And I knit these out of Patton's Croy on a size 3. So the fabric isn't very dense first. You can kind of see. There you go. And but it was a learning experience for me. I knit these back in the summer of 2015 when everyone was knitting the rollers, it seemed. They were all over the interwebs. But I loved knitting these, and then, I wore the crap out of them, so I got a hole. And I just took the time to darn them after they have been sitting forever, unloved and holy. And now I can wear them again, so that is so exciting. So I count that as a finished object, even though it's really not. I also have a kind of a cheat for a finished object, because it's really small, but I mentioned last week how I want to create a bunting out of birds of happiness. And so I'm currently hosting a make-along to make a bunting of your choosing on my group. Go check out my group page, the Yarn Junkie Podcast group on Ravelry. But so my goal is to take my largest knitted item of every month and make a bird of happiness from it. So last month I knit the Atwood shawl, and this was one of my little pieces of scrap from that. And it is a fingering weight bird of happiness that I knit, I believe, on size 0 needles. So my hands are huge, but the bird's tiny. It's so small, so small. I love it. I stuffed it with some fleece that I had, that I cleaned, some just natural wool. And so it's gonna hang out up here until I get some friends to go in a bunting. This is kind of a cheat too, because I literally just finished these this morning. My neon socks are done. Oh, I have the ends are woven in totally, but I didn't take off my keeper. So this is actually kind of one of my acquisitions as well, because I just got this in a kit that I ordered. So we'll go ahead and pop it off there. I really like it. It's got a little stamped heart. It's from a homespun house. But yeah, I really liked working on these socks. That's a lie. These were torturous for me to finish, but I wanted cashmere socks. I did enjoy the yarn. The colors aren't exactly what I thought I was getting when I ordered this originally. And it's just not my colors. I like them now that they're knit into the sock, and I kind of fudged up I did a 2x2 rib, which is not my normal, but it's just a vanilla sock. But I knit this one using DPNs. The whole leg I used DPNs, a size 1. And then I decided to switch to zeros to do the heel, which I used the Hermione's Everyday Eye of Partridge. It's a modified Eye of Partridge heel. And I kind of messed it up on a couple of rows, but what I did differently though is I noticed this one's kind of baggy using the size 1. So I just went ahead and used a size 0 on this entire sock except for the ribbing. I used a size 1. And so it is a little bit of a difference in gauge, but they're for me and I really don't care that much that one's going to be a little bit strange and bigger than the other. Overall, I think it's funny too because I knit this one entirely on magic loop and I don't know if you can see that, but I get ladders worse with magic loop. I didn't do it here on the bottom. It seems that I did much better magic looping without ladders. But yeah, here on the top, I don't know. It was kind of crazy that I was getting ladders when I never get ladders with DPNs. I was switching back and forth the whole time knitting these, and I actually started, what's also really cool that I have to point out is how well my bag matches the yarn. Where's the little ball? There it is. You guys, that's my heart song, when things just match up so well, and it's just, oh. So this is my bag that I got from Andy of the Andre Student Knits podcast in a swap that her and I did, and I really like it. It's perfect for socks. And now I have new socks. I'm so excited. I really love the Hermione's heel. That's just like so cute. So much fun. I am entering these into the Rainbow Along with the Suburban Stitcher podcast. And also I am making Prudence some rainbow socks. I mentioned she needed more socks desperately. And, you know, she needs rainbow socks. And this yarn came from my friend Marie, who's Cajun Crochet on Instagram. And that's about how far along I am so far. And magic loop, yay! And something different I did on this is I noticed all of my socks, especially those, I used long tail cast on, and it's just really tight. And so a pair of socks that I knit last year, it was a pair of baby socks, called for the old Norwegian cast on. And it was super, super stretchy. And so that is what I used on this, and I think that's what I'm going to start using from now on. It is a little bit fiddly at first, but I think that the overall effect is, you see that there's like a little stopping point. This just has more give, it seems. And also on my next pair of socks, I really want to try twisted rib. Everybody is just raving about how much neater twisted rib is, and since I knit so loose, my rib is leaving something to be, you know, I feel it could be better. And I actually have changed the way I tension yarn. I've mentioned how loose I knit, and Andy, again, of the Andre Student Knits podcast, recently did a demonstration of how she knits Fair Isle. And I don't know how well this is going to show, but I usually have tensioned my yarn over my finger. And she showed how she was tensioning two different yarns, switching the directions, and one of them was under. And I did that and was knitting like that, and it actually helps me knit a lot tighter to have the yarn under my finger. So I'm interested to see, after I get these done, to do a couple of gauge swatches to see how I can play with my tension and possibly be a tighter knitter, because that would be very good. But yeah, so just some rainbow fleechy socks. For Prudence, I'm not doing long socks like I originally said. Her and I were talking about it, and she has knee-high socks, and she doesn't hardly ever wear them. And I asked her why, and she said that she didn't really like them. So I'm just going to knit her some regular socks, which will be good because they'll go by really fast. Something else I've been working on that seems like, I think the crafting world in general has more of a collective consciousness because everybody seems to get on the bandwagon of knitting the same thing at the same time. You know, and it just, like trends and stuff, I get people follow trends, but yeah, so cozy house slippers. Everybody is knitting these or has knit them. The little picture I posted to Instagram was like a little heart. Oh, I'm not in love with them. They're not anything to write home about. They're not the pattern was really, really easy. You just knit flat, the garter stitch. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knits. I want to say that's the pattern. But you knit the garter portion and then you join it and then you just knit in the round and then close off your toe. I am pretty excited. The only reason why is because I use all stash yarn with this, like scraps that I had. So that's really exciting. When I knit the farmhouse shawl, I had 5 balls of this and 1 of this for the accent on the fringe. And that's what I had left. And then I also had some random 100% alpaca that's blue sky alpacas. I actually crocheted, reaching, this guy with him. Of course, because you need alpaca yarn to make an alpaca. And this is out of the Edwards Menagerie crochet book. All of those guys back there are. I really love that book. But yeah, so yay for using stash yarn. That gives me points. Everybody seems like they're talking about the Inside 23 podcast. Inside the number 23, Katie. She is doing this Gryffindor themed stash along that you'll have to watch her podcast to get the rules and things, but I'm definitely doing that with her and I think it's so cool. She's awarding herself points based on using things from stash. That way she can use the points to buy more yarn. Perfect, because not only do I want to use stash yarn, but I also don't want to stop buying new yarn. So yeah, those are okay. I don't have any desire to start the second. I will, simply because my house is cold. The floors, again, concrete floors, even in knit socks, my feet freeze. And so I need slippers. So I will finish those, most definitely. I have done a bare minimum amount of work on my sweater, my ease that I've been knitting in my awesome bag from Jilly that she sent me. So last time we left off, I was here, and again, there's another progress keeper that I got in my kit from Molly of a Homespun House. I really like that one. So that's where I was last time, and I've knit down to here, and I would honestly have a lot more than this done, except if you follow me on Instagram, you will know this. My needle broke. These are my Carbons interchangeables that I just received. I just bought these on Cyber Monday of 2015, and this is my first time using this particular set with this cord. And I was knitting. This is the first project I've used on it, and this part here, the cord separated from the metal completely. And we were, of course, not home at the time. I was out to eat, took this along to work on it, and I pulled it out of my bag, and my needle is just... I was very frustrated, needless to say, especially because I just recently had the same issue with another set of carbons that I own. Again, first time using these, and this tip comes off, just slides right off. I haven't fixed this yet. My husband did use epoxy. He could fix anything with epoxy. He used epoxy for the cord and just shoved it back in there, and then I had to let it cure for 24 hours, so I couldn't work on this, or else there would be more done on it. It was just a real bummer to have my brand new needle on 2 different occasions fall apart. I haven't written to Carbons yet, but I think I will. And I definitely don't think I'll be buying. I love Carbons, but I think I'm going to try some Chalgu, maybe Hi Sharps. I have a lot of Addies that I bought when I first started knitting, but I don't like Addies. I don't like the ends or the tips on them. They are just really blunt, which is really frustrating. The deep hands are a little bit worse, I feel, than the circulars. And I just don't enjoy knitting with them. The cords are really amazing. Another thing that I'll say about Addies is this one. Maybe it's not that one. Maybe it's not Addies, maybe it's Knit Picks. Knit Picks metal is coated and the coating comes off, which I really don't enjoy that either. So I'm still on the hunt for good needles. That's a bummer. And I would love to work on this more. I love it. I love it. The green is, I really do like it. By the time I get done with it, it's mid-February, basically. In Texas, guys, winter's over. Like, I'm not going to be able to wear a worsted weight sweater until late November. So that sweater may just sit in the back of my projects and not get worked on. Who knows? I need to finish it, don't I? I really should. I should just finish it. I also started, in my bag. So this is the bag. The kit had the stitch markers, 3 stitch markers, this bag, and a skein of yarn. The reason why I ordered the kit is for this bag. It was so ridiculous. I needed it. These little kittens are just so cute. Someone on Instagram commented on Molly's bag, or on Molly's Instagram when she posted this bag, that the kittens were scary. I don't think they're scary. Or creepy. Maybe she said it was creepy. I don't think it's creepy either. I think it's really cute. And I love the polka dot pink on the bottom. Anyhow, what I have in the side of this bag is my Because I Love You wrap. And I started it, and I love it. It's by Amy Meeks. And there's a knit-along currently going along with this. I will probably not get it done. It's only a month-long knit-along. And what is the date? I think it's like the 7th or the 8th already. Maybe it's the 10th. Who knows? This is how far along I am. I started it a couple of days ago and then ran into a problem. You see my hole? That's not supposed to be there. I actually asked, again, Marie, because she's knitting this with me. Hi, Marie. What I did wrong, because she's a little bit further along than I was at the time. And she said that I needed to be twisting my yarn right there. So I have to frog back, and I was also not really liking the fact that where I'm at right now is here in this section, which means that when you wear the wrap, most of it's going to be brown. So I was talking to Tim, my husband, and I said, I think I should go back and start and do this in the brown section. That way most of it is the pink color. And he said, no, I think that it will look better doing the brown. And, this is a furtrella. I'm knitting this furtrella. We will share it, because that's the joy of, knitting something for your child. You get to borrow it. or knitting a shawl anyway. So I asked Estrella, since it's hers, hey, I think I'm going to go back and do this section in brown. Showed her this, on the project page of Ravelry, other people's shawls, so she would get the idea of how it was going to look. And she said, no, I want it to be mainly brown. And I say mainly brown. It uses the same amount of both colors. So it's technically the same amount of pink as it is brown, but it looks more brown, if that makes sense. So I will continue. I will go back these 4 or 5 rows here and fix my hole. But I will continue. This is my first time doing picots, or knitting picots. I've crocheted picots. Oh gosh, that yarn shows up really well right there. That is how it looks. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. And the brown is pretty if you like brown. It's called Pecan Hull. This is Madeline Tosh Twist Light. And my other color I've mentioned is Hedgehog Fibers. That's really bright. It's not that bright. Hedgehog Fibers in colorway Villain. And I really like these shots of golds. Just really different. Very pretty. So we have also... Oh, I'll talk about this yarn right quick while it's here. So I got this yarn with the kit as well. And when I first got it, Estrella was like, oh, you can knit my shawl in that. And I said, okay, I could definitely do that. However, this yarn is, again, it's from the Homespun House. It's her Dormheim base in 50% alpaca, 50% BFL. And so while I don't have the prickly problem as with alpaca, Estrella is very, very sensitive to things like that. And so immediately I said, well, it has alpaca in it, and I shoved it up to her face, and she was like, oh, it itches, never mind. So as gorgeous as she thinks it is, she definitely doesn't want it as her shawl or her wrap. So I was thinking, a new design coming out is the Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast and Wollenvine Yarns is coming out with a new design called Wildemir, I want to say. That might not be right. I think it's people are test knitting it right now. But as soon as she showed it on her podcast, I gasped. The yarn she's using is her own base, and it's her Venus Flytrap colorway. It's green like my sweater, guys. It's this gorgeous, gorgeous shade of that lighter green color. And it sings. It sings in that shawl. And I'd really like to knit that. But again, knitting from stash, trying to. And this also, again from Marie. This is like the Marie episode. This Marie sent me, and this will look beautiful in that shawl as well. And the shawl is... If you've seen it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's eyelets, and then it's an applied border. So I was thinking this as the applied border, and it has beading, which ever since doing my Potter shawl that has the beading, I've been wanting to do another beaded shawl. So this is, a future cast on. I probably won't cast it on as soon as she releases it, but it's there in my stash, and it can be dreamed about. We've also, the girls and I, have been doing Jenny of the Tiny Paper Foxes podcast, her craft for 20. So Estrella, again, my 10-year-old, got a sewing machine for her birthday, and I've been meaning to show her how to use it, to sit down and troubleshoot it with her. And, everything that happened in December, we don't need to rehash. And then my teeth issues that have been going on most of January. And again, I have another appointment on Thursday to get 3 teeth pulled. Today's Tuesday. I'm not looking forward to it. But so needless to say, I just haven't had a lot of want or desire to sit down and go over a sewing machine with her. So with this craft for 20, I knew, okay, I need to sit down and do this with her. She's been dying to do it. She's been so patient. Let's just do it. And I actually have a sewing machine in a really, really nice desk from Tim's grandmother that I inherited. And I haven't really messed with it because it's an older machine. I think I need to take it in to have it looked at. Anyhow, I moved the desk downstairs from my craft room because our table is a bar height table and it's just not possible to sit down and sew at. So I moved the desk down here so Atrella would have a very nice area to sit down and sew at. Got her sewing machine all set up, threaded, bobbin loaded, sat down, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. The threads were all, it was sewn, but it was too loose. Posted a picture on Instagram. So many wonderful people like instantly replied, yay for Instagram, to say, you know, my tension was off, that I just needed to adjust my tension. That's awesome. That was so cool that I was able to quickly fix it and get Atrella back to sewing, because that day we didn't have a lot of time. It was Saturday we were doing this, and Prudence, my 5-year-old, was actually at cheer camp. So Atrella and I had the house to ourselves, and it was quiet, and we were distraction free, and we were able to focus on Atrella sewing. So as soon as I adjusted the tension, she was off, and she was sewing, and oh man, I meant to, you know what I think is so crazy? Podcasters always do that. They're like, oh, I forgot to grab that. Every time, never fails, right? So Atrella sewed a few things. This was her first thing. Look at this poor state of this girl's hair. I'm sure if you have daughters with dolls, their doll hair looks like this. Why? Why? Anyhow, Atrella, this is her work in progress because she still needs to hem the bottom. And she needs to work on her hand stitching. She was very disgruntled that I made her hand stitch this instead of use her machine. So she rushed through it instead of taking her time. She can do a way better casing than that. But she did the sides with her machine, and she was so excited to iron out the fabric. She said that she needs her own iron now. And she just had a lot of fun making this. And she has since made, I don't have it. There's 2 other things that I want to show you that I guess we'll have to wait till next time. But she has been crafting for 20 every day. I have posted pictures of her progress on Instagram. I am _Yarn Junkie. If you want to follow me, you can do so. But she has just been having a lot of fun doing that. And Prudence has her own craft for 20. Again, this is my 5-year-old, and she got this really cool pillow kit for her birthday from, I want to say my sister-in-law got this. But so it came with these 3 different pillows that are different shapes, and they're numbered. And then each number, you have a piece of paper. Bear with me while I try to get this open. Isn't that the worst? The crinkles and the anticipation of what the person is going to say. Okay, so it's like a color by number, basically. There's these little pieces of fabric in here, and they're all numbered. So she has to look at these, and then she has this tool. So she pokes a hole, and then she takes her little fabric, and then she pokes it in. And this is her craft for 20, and these are little pieces of fabric. Isn't that amazing? And she'll have these little pillows when she's done for her bed or for the couch or wherever she wants to put them. But she's really into it, and she sits down, and she calls it her knitting, though. Oh, will you hand me my knitting? So she's really funny and having a great time doing that with us. I have been working on my spinning, and again, since I was having tension issues on my sewing machine, I will just grab this since it's small. I'll set up here. Was having the same issues with, this is what I've been spinning. I've been having the same issues with my wheel, having my fiber just either drafts out of my hands, or once it drafts out of my hands and I'm trying to pull it out, it just drafts apart because it's not spun enough. Forgive me for not knowing the technical terms. I'm sure you spinners out there are like beating your head against a wall. But so I dropped down my, I think this is my wheel tension. And I have been adjusting this, but that wasn't helping me that much. But as soon as I adjusted this, it's like a night and day difference. And I sat down and I spun 4 row legs in the time that it took me to do those 2 originally. And it was ridiculous. But now I've got it and I feel just really great. I feel kind of terrible for Jenny though, because she seems to be having troubles with her skirt. And I originally was having troubles with my spinning, and so I altered her hashtag as a cuss for 20, because that's what I felt I was doing. And now she's, cussing for 20, and that just, my heart goes out to her, because, you understand the frustrations if you're a crafter when your craft doesn't exactly end up being what you expected it to be. One other thing I will say, I'm not 100% sold on this being my box, but again, Kristen of the Yarngasm Podcast and Full and Vine Yarns is hosting a year-long knit-along to do a box of socks. Everyone's doing the box of socks. My goal is to make myself 12 socks and then my family socks to equal 16 socks for 2016. So whoever gets those socks is lucky, but I'm getting 12 at least. And I hope half of those are going to be fancy socks, not just vanilla. Like I want to do the seed stitch socks. I really want to make, Laura from the Fawn Knits is doing these. She is dyeing yarn now, and her, I don't know what she's called it, but it's like green and orange yarn. I need it. She's doing a kit, and I'm dying to get it. I'm going to have to break the yarn diet because I'm going to just like have to have it. But she's doing this little textured stitch on these socks in her yarn, and that's why I need that yarn, because I've got to make those socks so bad I can't stand it. So yeah, fancy socks in my fancy box. I am not sold on this being my box, but it's a box I had, and it has hinges, which is one of my requirements. I want a box that has a hinge. And this, again, is just something I've had forever. I bought it vintage. It's a little farm box. My original plan was to crochet a bunch of farm animals to kind of put in this as a toy for guests to play with. But yeah, I think it will work for my box. And it has an owl. My little owl and the little kitten. So it will definitely fit 16 socks. Probably more. And it has a hinge. I don't know, maybe this is my box. Box of socks, Cal. Okay, it cut out when I was talking about my box for my box of socks, but I'm back, and it gave me a chance to grab the other things that Atrella made that I wanted to talk to y'all about. So she sewed me this, and again, her edges are raw, but she's learning, you guys. I wanted y'all to see, she did that with her machine. Xbox. She made me a little sleep mask. Isn't it awesome? And she's completely obsessed. She wants to go to the store. And my husband's like, you've created a monster. She's decided she needs muslin. She's got a list of all the things she needs. And she also was inspired by a girl that I follow on Instagram. And she used to be a podcaster. She's got about 7 or 8 episodes, but the last time she podcast was over the summer of 2015. So it's been a while since she's podcast. Her name is Rockabella Crafts, but she just posted to Instagram, and she's got a Etsy shop too where she sells little things that she made. She just posted one of these little pin cushions, and I showed it to Atrella, and she sat down immediately and made one. So she made this on her sewing machine again. This little voodoo man pin cushion. I just love him. He's so cute. And she was inspired. So that's really cool. Some other podcasts that I've been watching that I've been inspired by. My hair's like doing crazy things now. One thing that I want to say right quick. Two Tangled Skeins podcast has given me a shout out, mentioned my podcast on theirs. So thanks so much for that. It is a new to me podcast. I wasn't actually subscribed to them until they linked my podcast to theirs, and now I am, and they're hilarious, so definitely go check them out. Some other podcasts that I've been watching, because I've been binge watching podcasts lately since I've been mostly knitting and laying down because I've been in a lot of pain. The pain medicine I'm on is like, it makes me really tired and groggy, and I just don't really feel like doing much. And so I'm going through stages of where I'm in so much pain I can't do anything, or groggy from the pain medicine and I can't do anything. So I have been watching a lot of knitting podcasts. So Once Upon a Corgi with Gabby, she is a bag maker and a yarn dyer, and she's a new to me podcast. She's fairly new to podcasting. I don't think she has very many episodes up so far. She is awesome. What Shara Made is a new to me podcast, and I found her through the podcaster swap that we're doing. She's my swap partner, and I totally dropped the ball on that again because of all the dental issues that I've been having, and I need to get her package out. Another podcast that I've been watching for a while. I maybe have mentioned it. If I haven't, I've totally been meaning to, and if I have, forgive me for repeating myself. But the Home Corner podcast is amazing. And Karen has actually done a Handmade Hollywood. I know that the Inside Number 23 is doing a Netflix and Knit, but Karen has a Handmade in Hollywood, which is about the same concept. She's inspired by designs that she sees and recreates those. She's a sewist and a knitter, and I really love her projects and the things that she makes for herself as well as her daughter. So hi Karen, if you watch my podcast. Also, Legacy Knits is a new to me podcast, and they're fairly new. It's a mother and daughter host and co-host, and they are amazing. One of my favorite things about their podcast is the emergency snacks. I wish I had a co-host so I could eat emergency snacks and knit while talking, but I've got to stay focused. So there will be no snacking and knitting on my part. But Sue and Chelsea are just adorable. It is a little difficult to watch their relationship because I missed my mom, you guys. I mean, I was crying about it this week, and I just started crying, really, and my husband was like, what's wrong? And I just said, I miss my mom. And he's like, yeah, I know, I get it. And it's just random times. I mean, I just miss her. But I also, seeing their relationship and seeing that they both are super crafty and knit the same things and are inspired by each other, I really look forward to Atrella and I being at that place at some point. And I've thought about doing the podcast with Atrella, but with her age, I just don't want it to be something that she likes for now and then thinks it's dorky to have a podcast with her mom later. I would rather her just have her own thing and then this be my thing, if that makes sense. I don't want to force her into it, even though it seems like something that she'd be keen on right now. I will always show her crafts and pictures of her doing crafts, so I will try to put in a little video clip at the end of her sewing and of Prudence doing her little pillow craft, if I am able to be tech savvy enough to get those edited in and adjusted. So one thing I will say, my hats that I was working on are taking a total hibernation because it's mid-February at this point in Texas and hat weather's over. Hat weather is non-existent at this point. But I did want to say, I wore this in the podcast before last, And I bought it at the Madtosh when Madtosh went out of business. Their sale. This was actually a sample that was on a mannequin. And it is the Amy Bowden, or not Amy. It's the Bowden by Amy Miller. And it's made with 6 skeins of Madtosh vintage. And it fits me perfectly. If you watch the podcast where I was wearing it, it fits really well. The only thing is the sleeves are just a smidge short because I am freakishly long and I have a really long torso, really long arms. Other than that, it fits really well and I love it, and it's so squishy and amazing, and you will never guess how much I bought it for. Hand knit in Madtosh yarn, amazing sweater, $20. Isn't that killer, you guys? Like, it was amazing, and now I have to finish my sweater so I can have a sweater that I knit myself. Oh, one other thing. I got this in the mail, which was so sweet and so amazing. It's a little handmade card with a heart and a note on the inside just letting me know that they knew I was going through a hard time and wanted to send me well wishes. And this is from Laura of the Fawn Knits, and she says in here that my podcast is new to her. And I just think that's so cool that even without knowing me, she sent this and just wanted to let me know she was thinking of me. That's just, again, this community, you guys, so many of you have, even if you haven't sent me something physical, your messages on Ravelry, your support has just meant more than you could possibly know. I genuinely appreciate you. I am so glad that I've made the connections that I've made, and I really love that you come back week after week and want to know what I've been working on, and I really look forward to seeing more activity in the group. Please come over and show me what you've been up to, what you're working on, introduce yourself, and let's get chatty. Happy knitting, and I'll see y'all next time.